This Race 1 episode is our 200th. Yes, 200 episodes since February 2008. And we'll go easy on this one. No fireworks, remembering our very first show right here. But stay locked, we'll be back after the commercials.
After a promising start at the loose event, mechanical problems forced Hamilton out of the hill sprint.
Welcome back to episode 200 of Race 1 since February 13th, 2008. We want to sincerely thank our sponsors for helping us make it this far. 200 shows. Special thanks to Mark Maloney and the Pre-Conco Limited team. They were buckled in with us from the start. Also a big thank you to Paul the Surfer Board for all your support then and now. On to some karting. And Norman Catwell is now the chairman of the Barbados Karting Association. He talks go-kart racing with the Race 1 team.
I was elected this year that we had our AGM on the recommendation from Stephen Mayer. Stephen was past chairman for about 26 years, and he felt that he just wanted to move on a little bit and redirect his goals in a different area. He left the club in very good financial and sound footing for us. So basically, my chairmanship is just really trying to, carry forward some of his wishes. The Easy Kart program that is currently run, it's a UK program, had some affiliations in Venezuela, in Miami, and so forth. It is a very easy run series. The only thing you're allowed to do really is just basically add gas and go. Very easy. The karts are pretty, easy to maintain, and it's the driver really separates. It isn't really a lot of tech tuning that you can really do. It's basically all down to the driver. We have a pretty big field that started out last year. Some talent has been found with the juniors into the cadets. That's a really pleasing sight to see young people coming in within a year. Doing what they're doing now. It's a good sight to see. They're exceptionally talented. There are probably 2 or 3 of them that in there that had previous experience in them, but majority of the field of 13 karts possibly really started driving last year. They're very dedicated. They're learning. They're young and they can absorb a lot of the information basically that you tell them. So when you're explaining certain things about lines and pretty good braking points and so forth, they within a year I've seen them. It's a pleasure to see how fast they grow, and they're getting faster. And I think when they get up into we had one child migrate from the 60s, well 2 children really, my daughter Kaylee and young Alex Malu. He came up from the 60s into the 100s. Kaylee outgrew her 60, but there are 2 children that came into that 100 from the 60s, and they're at the front. Alex did really well in our last race meet. Went down. He came I think probably second overall to Zayn with a lot of experience, and he really equipped himself with it really well. It was good to see that. And then there's the 125 class. There's a 100 class, and that's the step up from the 60. That is growing also. The 60s run in one category. The 100s, they run basically with our existing X30 and Yamaha 100 class because of the CCs and so forth. And it's a little faster. The karts are a good bit faster than the 60s. The 125 is broken into 2 classes, a lights and a masters, and that caters for a little older, you could say like teenager, adult sort of way, and a master, which is for people really over 30 going up that sort of way. And we have some, still got some fellas that can show the youth away in that class. So it's a big field. We started out I think last year with a close to 20 something karts in that 125 class. The 60s was close to about 13. And the 100s, that is still developing now. That was a little smaller, but you can see the path where that is going, and it's I think it has a lot of potential. Previous years, I think there was a couple that was under the lights, and we decided that we would share an event with BPMSI, and they opted to do the night event. It was sponsored. We got the lights and everything. And it was, to be honest with you, it's we want to do it to give a different perspective to racing. It's a lot cooler. It changes the track temperature, has a big effect on how the karts handle. and it's just a variation of what we do basically on a Sunday when we have our car meets, but from feedback from all the members, it was a really, really good event. They really enjoyed it, and once they enjoy it, well, it makes my job easier, because we have to do another one. So that's in place. We were going to do our next race meet in September. That would be also a night event also too. Our previous chairman, Stephen, he really wanted to have a regional kart meet, with Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, some of the main group of islands that we race with, in our circuit racing, to do a kart, like I said, like a kart meet. I've spoken to one person in Jamaica so far, and he is all fair for the fact that he loves that idea. Our only issue maybe probably just our karts are more spec karts, while their karts are pretty highly tuned. So to collaborate the two, we have really with four countries that will probably partake, to bring 4 countries together under one body to do a kart meet. It may take some work. I'm willing to work hard for it, and I think if we, with the committee that we have in place, I think we'll be okay, to get that happen. I really would like that. Stephen wanted it to happen, and I would like to see it happen. I think, we need to step outside that box, I think, to let some of the drivers get a taste for some, like other drivers, their driving styles and so forth. We have some members that go overseas and compete, and are pretty successful at that, and they show their own. So I don't think that, I don't think we'd be too bad off if we said we invite people from Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana. There's karting in Puerto Rico also. If we do a sort of meet like that, I think we would go well. Our only issue would really be basically the what format we would probably, a lot of the karts run into. Our X30 class is pretty good. We have young Christian there that is a young guy that he has talent growing out his ears. I think he bodes well to bring forward. Zayn is good, Joshua is good. We have a good knit of drivers that I think could represent us pretty okay if we said we had to nominate certain people to do a meet. But it is in infancy right now, and like I said, it's been on my mind since Peb stepped off. And he did ask, he did tell me, normally let's try to get it working.
Welcome back to episode 200 of Race 1. Now, Formula 1 is the highest class of single-seat auto racing that is sanctioned by the FIA. The Formula 1 World Championship has been the premier form of racing since the inaugural season back in 1950. Now, many parents dream of getting their children into a Formula 1 car, and it's well known that getting into the sport is very, very expensive. Formula 1 drivers are in a highly competitive sport that requires a great deal of talent and commitment to have any hope for success. While it may seem like a dream job, becoming a professional driver takes years of experience and a good deal of financial investment to climb the ranks to Formula 1. Toto Wolff, team principal of F1 Championship leaders Mercedes, is an expert to steering drivers into the sport, and he says if somebody is talented, very talented, you probably need to spend about £1 million in karting through the junior, senior and international races. You need at least a season in the F4 or Formula Renault, which is another £350,000 if you do it properly. You need £650,000 for an F3 season, so we're at about £2 million. Then you'll probably need another season of F3, so you're at £2.6 million or £2.7 million, how you put it. And then you haven't even done any GP2 or World Series. So let's say you're at about £3 million if you are an extraordinary talent. And there's still more cost attached. They say it's an £8 million or about 24 million Barbados dollar road to Formula 1. Now we have a youngster right here in Barbados who has the talent to make it to Formula 1. Meet Zayn Maloney. We had a chat with Zayn and his dad Sean Maloney to get an update on Zayn's progress to date.
Zayn's been doing quite well in karting locally here, and we thought that we wanted to challenge him overseas against some quality karters and on some different tracks, and see whether whether he could perform up there. And Stanley Ming had his son Calvin Ming participating in World Karting Association Series, which passes through various venues in the southeastern states. So Christmas was coming up and they were on holidays, and we had the opportunity to throw him in the deep end, carry him up there, and thanks to Saul and Bushy Park, they made it. They allowed for it to happen, reached out and helped us. And so we jumped on a plane, went up there 2 days before. We had to get licensing sorted out, and the team up there didn't quite, even though I explained to them how small he was, they didn't quite understand that. So when we got to the track, they had the kart set up for a taller kid. So we spent probably 4 or 5 hours just doing some work to the kart to make it suitable for Zayn. And so we were at the track in Daytona, and the first day that we went on, it was just for Zayn really to familiarize himself with the track, get behind some of the faster boys in the States, and see what he could do. And so that first day, I think they had 5 15-minute sessions. And after the first 3 sessions, Zayn started putting down fastest times. So everyone was kind of looking on, who's this kid, where is he from? And the following day, we went straight into qualifying, and Zayn set the fastest time, put the kart on pole. As I said, this is a kart that we just went out there and rented, so all of the rest of the karters have their own karts, which have been set up for them. So things were looking encouraging. Went on through the day. The first day, he actually got in a tangle in the first lap and flipped the kart. So had a DNF. The guys repaired the kart, had it ready for the next day. Went out the next day, and everyone was looking around to see if he was rattled from the flip. And he went out the next day and put the kart back on pole.
So Zayn, how has it been for you competing against those guys you don't really know?
It's been nice because I get to compete with better guys than down here. And it's not just one card, it's like 10 in the lead group, unless something happens in the first corner where a few guys get to break away. If one little mistake by anyone happens and they lose the toe of the other guy in front, the others are just gonna break away because they bump draft a lot out there, and once you lose them, they're gone. There's so many karters, and you could get dropped from 1st to 10th in one corner because they can just push all past you.
What would you say is one of the more important things you've learned?
How to bump draft, drafting, how to turn in, because the different corners turn in different. We're here in Bushy Park, most of the corners same kind of thing. My dad has been teaching me a bit, but they have past drivers up there. That's my mechanic now, so he tells me a few things. He looks at my GoPro and tells me what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right. Every single time I go out, I just have to, they ask me to focus on one thing every time, and I focus on it and come back and tell them if it's feeling better or worse with the adjustment. You have to hear the engine and hear how it's coming out of the corner, if the adjustment helped or if it's coming out slower or faster, and how much RPM you're hitting at the end of the straight. And you can change a few things if you're driving, and try that as well and see if it works any better.
Okay, Zayn, so what's next for you? What are those goals you want to, achieve?
Winning the Super Nationals or coming top 10, and then going up to juniors next year maybe.
The results were encouraging, and we said, well, let's give him some more tests. And since then, we've carried him up to Jacksonville. We've carried him up to North Carolina, and those are the quickest boys in, as I said, in the southeastern states. And this past weekend, he was champion driver in North Carolina. I think out of 6 of the Pro Swift races, he won 4. And then it was always second or third, always vying for the race win. So the next step is we want to carry him over onto the West Coast and see how he does against those guys there. And then, so that's heading over to Arizona in a few weeks time. And ultimately at the end of the year, there is a race called the Super Nationals in Las Vegas, which has over 1,500 karts. In his group alone, there's 260 karts. And that sees the guys from all around the States, as well as the UK and Europe, come over. So our ultimate goal is to see how he goes in that later in the year. Locally, we have the Easy Kart, which is great for our local purposes because it is a one-make series. It's inexpensive because we consolidate the parts. So if you have 60 karts, or if you have 20 karts in a 125 group, you don't need 20 sets of spares necessarily. Whereas if you own your own kart and it's a make different than the rest, you gotta invest into spares for your own package. The karts that we have here are basic, they're standard. You can adjust the toe, which is wheels in and out, and that's it. What he drives overseas, you can adjust the toe, caster, camber, ride height, change gears, just so many different things. And the variable is that you can have 40 Zayns on the track at a time. But he is, as much as he's dependent on his ability, he's dependent on the team to get his kart dialed in right. And the tracks up there change from 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the evening. The track may get grippier, it may get looser, and the ability of the team to change the setup on the kart to continue to go fast, and the ability for him to be able to give the team the feedback is, when you watch Formula One or you watch those other races, and sometimes you see some quicker guys off the pace because they didn't have the kart set up. It's identical in the world of karting.
I watch a few videos before I go, so I know the track, and then when I walk it, I take about a session and a half to 15 minutes to get with all the lines, and then I just start trying to do setup and go faster in the corner. I don't feel nervous, I just go because if anything that they could do to me, I could do to them. So if I make it to Formula One, I'll be the only Barbadian and probably the first Barbadian to do anything like that.
Ultimately, he wants to go to Formula One. It is a road, that's going to have a lot of challenges. It is looking forward to between now and then. It looks very, almost daunting. So we're trying to chart, a year, 3 years, 5 years plans, and we're getting advice from the people in the sport who have his best interest to heart, because as I said, you could spend a lot of money chasing that dream and never get there. Someone he looks up to very much, Lewis Hamilton, coming down here. If we can pick Lewis's team's brain on how they got there, because there's a lot of luck involved and being the right place at the right time. We're making these karting journeys. I can tell you, anytime we go somewhere, there's 40 other kids that are as fast as Zayn. You know, the 40 of them are within a tenth, 2/10 of a second in qualifying. What separates those 40 is the decision making on the track. Not to be left out are the teachers at St. Michael's Secondary, because without his form teacher and the principal, there's no way that we'd be able to make these trips. They have been extremely accommodating in you know, getting all the schoolwork to him, and so we gotta thank them as well. It could have been a lot more difficult if the school wasn't as accommodating and the teachers. And then it's a function of me getting my act together when it comes to work, you know, making sure that I'm ahead of the game there, because I do miss considerable, there is a considerable amount of time spent over there. And he is starting, it was a bit rough in the beginning, but he's starting to get into the discipline of understanding that, you know, you're gonna do homework on a plane, at an airport, in a restaurant. You know, sometimes we get back from karting and eat dinner, and you had to have the books in front of him. So he understands that, you know, if he doesn't do it, then he won't have the opportunity.